Yeah. Oh, here's another Apple moment. Apple discontinues the iPod Touch, ending a 20-year run of the iconic iPod brand. I remember the iPod Touch for sure, but I remember iPods in general because it feels like, man, I feel like a lifetime ago with this stuff. That was the game changer, the iPod.
Well, 20 years.
Not the iPhone. It was the precursor to the iPhone. And for many kids, it was their first way into the Apple ecosystem, into the App Store. You would get an iPod, and it was cool because you had basically access to all the same apps as somebody who had the phone, if you had the iPod Touch.
And it was super thin.
Super thin. Yeah. And but prior to that, you had, well, look at that one, the 20 gigabyte with the polished steel on the back.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was video. I think that's actually before video.
Oh,
that's
this is just the
click wheel.
Yeah.
It was the base model was 30 gigs when they added video. Now video on this tiny little screen.
Yeah, that's the one.
And it was a nightmare getting video on it.
Just you could download like one movie.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it had to be a specific format, or you had to pay Apple $1,000 for that movie.
Right.
It's pretty crazy. The first iPod was introduced in 2001, October, with Steve Jobs famously saying that it could put 1,000 songs in your pocket. Imagine.
Yeah.
That was groundbreaking. Like, because I had been interested in MP3 players for a long time. I had some really unusual devices I would put in my pocket, which couldn't store barely anything. But the fact that I could rewrite songs onto it was exciting enough to me.
Right.
I had a device called the Diamond Rio player. Yeah, you're not going to find it on here, but it was a little bizarre-looking gadget that was one of the first MP3 players on the market.
Okay.
And Creative put something out called the Nomad. I had a Nomad jukebox, which I think was 4 gigs. It increased the storage by a lot. But by the time Apple got into it, they also figured out how to put together an interface that was going to be capable, like you could interact with it with one hand. That was really interesting. With the click wheel or the scroll wheel and touch-based input. Like, there wasn't a lot of touch going on.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we can do touch. And that was a surprise input. As a user, you weren't used to that type of interaction. And it set you up for the eventual capacitive touch on the iPhone later on, where you kind of were tuned up a little bit for touching things that maybe didn't click the way they used to. Maybe not having a button for everything, but instead having interfaces which were multi-purpose. And so anyway, here's a iPod Touch unboxing on Unbox Therapy from 2011.
Yeah.
And this is what they look. Look how tiny they were as well. The phone looked basically like this at the time. Pretty wild developments. I mean, this was an era where there just wasn't nearly as much content on YouTube. My God.
I actually just watched like one of their older commercials.
Apple's?
Yeah.
With the dancing and the white headphones? Yeah. Yeah, you had the third.
Like time traveling. Oh my God, I really can't speak today. It's like time traveling.
Was that like time and rhyme together? Yeah. This is a very important device. If you're a technology fan, there's so many things that this was the precursor to. And maybe devices that wouldn't have happened had the iPod not happened.
Well, I was listening to Bloomberg this morning on my way into work, and they had Tony Fidel, is that his last name? The guy who made this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was saying that, like, it makes sense that, like, they should have... He's surprised that the iPad's even been available to this point.
iPad or iPod?
It's iPod.
Yeah.
And, but he was going on to saying, like, hey, man, the iPhone doesn't happen if the iPod didn't happen. I'm out. I'm out, guys. I can't do it anymore.
See, when you get the ball rolling, it's a tough time. I hear you. And this guy looking at you?
Hey, where should I look? You get angry if I look at you. If I look at him, if I look at you. You're mad no matter where I'm looking. I can look at Ryan.
Yeah.
Is that fine?
There's not much happening over here. Will, I got to apologize. I got to step out. I'm sorry.
Okay. Call Vin in.
Yeah, sure.
He's around.
I'll get Vin in.
Oh, you got a hard out right now?
Yeah.
It sounds like fun. Shout out Jesse for the super chat. Yeah, CD burner and LimeWire, of course. Who doesn't remember those things? And then I'd be trying to get the best deal on CDRs, but I'd be trying to get the CDRs that were most compatible because they didn't work in all players. How crazy was that? I would be going to Caddy Computers to try to get the Rytech or the Data because they would be the most compatible. But you pay a little premium, but I went through the Memorex, and I mean I had everything going, and everybody's car would have these volumes of burnt CDs. Yeah. Like these booklets.
Yeah, like a little tray thing.
And you'd be looking through it trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Damn, man, it was so this solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And so I would pick up like the let's say the 20 gig iPod with click wheel, and then I'd have an FM transmitter connected to it, and then that would pump it through your stereo in the car, and all of a sudden you had 1,000 songs, and it was like magic that you could carry that with you. And now the whole world is in your pocket with a browser and everything else. And it all started here. I would argue it actually started before this with the Walkman when they put a cassette in your pocket.
Right.
It was already like, wait a sec, technology's going with you.
Yeah.
And then these things happen as a consequence. I know Sony was a big inspiration for Steve Jobs as well. So there's some sort of play over there. But anyway, it's RIP for iPod Touch.